Hey guys, it's Patrick from Hot Bramble on the Board Game Geek forums again, and I'm here to give another deck strategy for Epic. This is another very basic one. If you saw my other video concerning banishing things and bringing in tokens, this is also a banishing heavy strategy. The last one, obviously, if you're going with a token strategy, if you watch the video, you'll get it. There's a little more room for breaking as opposed to banishing. This one's focused heavily on banishing. The core of this strategy, this particular deck type, or archetype, however you want to put it, is going to be based around banishing your opponent's champions and then bringing your, but not your own, and then using your own champions. And it's based around one of two cards. Zombie Apocalypse, which breaks all champions, and then each player puts a zombie token into play for each champion in their discard pile. This is similar to the Inheritance of the Meek-based token strategy of you're attempting to knock out your opponent's tokens and champions and then put just a ton of tokens into play. As mentioned in the video I did on Inheritance of the Meek, this is usable with that strategy. It's also usable against that strategy. It's usable in a couple different ways, but it is a slightly different strategy as this will get you tokens into play. Second is, sorry about my phone there, and more importantly, this is the core card for this strategy, and it's Army of the Apocalypse. If it's your turn, each player returns all champions in their discard piles to play without triggering their loyalty or ally abilities. This is another strategy based very heavily around one card, which is why it's nice to have a card that matches it, like Zombie Apocalypse in, as a backup. But this is the card you're really basing this deck around, so you've got a lot of hope going that this card's going to come up. But here's the card you're going to use to really make this work for you. The core focus for you, obviously, other than bringing out good champions, is going to be destroying your opponent's champions, not just breaking them, but you need them banished, because otherwise they'll come out of their discards when you get yours out of yours, and that's not going to do you any good. You're just going to have a lot of champions versus a lot of champions. You want to have a lot of your champions versus none of theirs. So here's the cards you're going to use to your advantage. Corpse Taker. Nice. He's free. When he tributes him, you can return a target champion from your discard pile to your hand. Whether you want to do that's kind of up to you. It can be nice to help things going. Tap him to banish a card from a discard pile. Yes, he's 1/1. He's easy to kill. But you don't really want to attack or block with him. You want to use him just to banish cards from your opponent's discard pile. Then there's Keeper of Secrets. Banish a card from an opponent's discard pile. Also a free character to play, which is great. Great to keep those ones going. Guilt Demon. Tribute and when he attacks, you can banish a target card in discard pile. Again, basically the same, and another free one. And of course, our last free one, Necromancer Apprentice. He has Blitz, which is awesome. You can tap him his first turn. So does Evil Demon Champion and Sage, and so does Guilt Demon and Keeper of Secrets, actually. Blitz is going to be great for this, because if they get destroyed, obviously, first turn, it's going to do you no good. But Necromancer's Apprentice, banish target card from any discard pile. If it's a champion, put a zombie token into play. So this one also gives you the nice bonus of letting you build up a few tokens, should you be aiming for, say, Zombie Apocalypse, or even if you're going for the Inheritance of the Meek strategy of getting out a lot of tokens. Okay, now, that's kind of the light, easy end. This is the overkill end. These are cards you want to avoid using, probably, because they're not going to help you unless only your opponent has champions out. That's Cleansing Light, banish all token champions. That's a little weird one. Sorry, these are the token champion discarders. Cleansing Light banishes all token champions. Warrior Angel banishes a target evil token champion, and Knight of the Dawn banishes a target evil token champion. I'm not going to spend too long on these. The reason I mention them is, while it doesn't really matter if you banish or break token champions because you're putting in the deck, that's exactly why it's worth mentioning these. Tokens aren't going in the discard. They go back in the token stack. So you don't really need to worry about having these in your deck. They can be nice, especially Knight of the Dawn, because he's free. But it is not really necessary to worry about breaking banishing your opponent's tokens. Breaking them is fine, because you're not going to be bringing them back to life with Army of the Apocalypse or Zombie Apocalypse, whichever one you end up going with. It's not going to matter. Now here's your Overkill. New Dawn. If it's your turn, banish all champions. Starting with you, each player puts a champion from their hand into play. Divine Judgment. If it is your turn, banish all champions. Wave of Transformation. Banish all champions, even unbanishable ones. For each champion banished this way, its controller puts a wolf token into play. The only truly nice thing about this is that it'll kill out any unbanishable champions your opponent has. And then, of course, Inheritance of the Meek. Banish all non-token champions. If it's an opponent's turn, they draw a card. Now, again, as I keep saying, you can build a whole strategy around Inheritance of the Meek. Inheritance of the Meek combined with this strategy can be great, because you can put yourself in a position where if it looks like you're not going to get enough of their tokens banished regularly, you can go, or their champions banished, you can go for a very token-heavy strategy with Inheritance of the Meek. Wave of Transformation helps with that, but Wave of Transformation, remember, will also give them a lot of wolves. These are a bit Skyfire of a tactic. They burn everything, they wipe out everything. These will damage you if your champions are out. Remember, you don't want your champions broken. You want, banished. You want yours broken. You want your opponent's banished, yours broken. These are banishing yours too. So these are kind of emergency use cards. Though again, Inheritance of the Meek, as it has strong strategies that can be built just around it, if you have enough cards that give you tokens, or even just something like Wave of Transformation, can be helpful in your deck. At the very least, they could turn the game around. So they're not necessary for this deck, but they are possible. The more necessary ones are going to be, again, these cheap little dudes who banish things from your opponent's discards, and the ones I'm about to show you. Banishment. Banish a target champion. Player whose turn it is draws a card. High King. Tap him to banish a target champion. Lying in Wait. If a champion's attacking alone, banish it. Tribute. If you tribute the Palace guard, you may banish target champion. Succubus. Tap him to banish target champion. Has Blitz. As does High King. So these are all quick ways to get some banishments going. Now they all cost a gold. They're not free like our other nice ones. But these are going to let you banish some guys very quickly. They don't have the disadvantage of requiring a card to be in a discard pile. They can just banish anybody, discard pile or not. These are nice to have. These will start getting your opponent's champions banished, so you can start getting your champions broken, really. It's fine if yours are broken for this. Then the other cards we're going to look at here. Bitten. Break target champion. The player whose turn it is puts a zombie token into play. Again, no real big deal, because at the end of this, you are going to break all champions, and a broken token is just going to get destroyed. It's not going to the discard pile. It's not going to help them. So you can give them the zombie tokens, briefly though it may be. You can also use this to break your own champion, get your champion into your discard. Now, again, this doesn't banish it, this just breaks it, but that can give you a nice opening to use something like Necromancer Apprentice, which again banishes things only already in the discard pile. Vital Mission. Banish target champion. Its controller gains health equal to its offense. If you were the controller, draw 2 cards. Great. Could be giving your opponent a little health, which is bad. But still, especially for a smaller champion maybe, or if you're not that concerned about your opponent's health, quick way to banish champion. And then Transform. Banish target champion even if it's unbanishable. Champion's controller puts a wolf token into play. Again, like Wave of Transformation, this is just the smaller version. The nice thing is, even though you're giving them a wolf token, again, don't worry about the token. You can easily break it. And what you need to worry about is that this is a good way to get rid of an unbanishable champion, because you do want something, this Wave of Transformation, both to kill those unbanishable champions, because otherwise they will be a pain in your butt. Now, those all aside, there's 2 more cards worth looking at for this strategy. Standalone. Starting with you, each player chooses a champion they command. Break all other champions. Again, because if you get these 0-cost cards I went over, the very first ones I did, they banish from the discard pile, not from play. Breaking all champions is great. It puts your opponent champions in the discard pile where you can banish them out of their discard, and prepares yours for when you play the card, because remember, you're going to bring yours back from the discard ideally. Worst case, you're going to play Zombie Apocalypse and give yourself tokens for them being in the discard, but best case, you're going for the Army of Apocalypse play. You're going to bring all your guys out of the discard, so it doesn't matter if they're broken. It's fine if you break your champions. You're getting them back. The other one that can be an interesting little worker here is Amnesia. This is the gold standard. If you can get Amnesia and Army of Apocalypse, you are so set. Because Amnesia banishes a target player's entire discard pile. This will get rid of it. You just can break their champions if you get this. It doesn't matter. This is destroying any champion that is in their discard, and anything else for that matter. These 2 together are so powerful it's not funny, made all the more so by the fact that Amnesia doesn't cost anything. It's free. It's insane how good Amnesia is when combined with the right card like Army of the Apocalypse, or even Zombie Apocalypse, because, again, they're not getting anything if they have nothing in their discard pile. Putting these two together is a killer strategy. Now you need to have them have very little on the table because, you know, this banishes their discard pile. You're going to play it first because you can't play it in the middle of returning champions to their you can't play it in the middle of Zombie Apocalypse, which is break all champions and each player puts a zombie token into play. It won't work in the middle of that. You'll need to clear the table of their champions really to get the best thing out of Amnesia. But Amnesia and Army of the Apocalypse, they just bring all their champions back from the discard pile right away. Kill their discard pile, bring yours back. One of the best 2-card strategies you can have. Now, for its weaknesses, obviously. This one's weakness, much like Inheritance of the Meek, is that it is really based on 2 cards. Another weakness is a card like Inheritance of the Meek can ruin this strategy, because it only takes 1 card, say, Banish all non-token champions, to destroy Army of the Apocalypse. It only takes 1 card, Banish all champions, New Dawn, to ruin even Army of the Apocalypse. So the downside of the Army of the Apocalypse / Zombie Apocalypse, and if at all possible Amnesia strategy, is it doesn't take much to get rid of all your newly found champions. Your opponent can do it very quickly if you haven't picked up the cards that would allow them to do it and put them in your deck. Which, you know, you can't always do. That said, this isn't meant to be a perfect deck. This is meant to be a good starting point, like Inheritance of the Meek can be, for strategies that you can build off of and work off of. When it works, and it can, the Army of the Apocalypse strategy is amazing. Having your opponent have no champions because you've banished them all, and suddenly summoning a ton of your own champions from the discard is not only great for you, but it is a killer-looking effect. It's suddenly you have a ton of stuff in front of you, assuming you had a lot of champions going, and your opponent has nothing. It's beautiful, it's great, it's smooth, but again, relies a lot on you getting the right cards at the right times. That said, this is just suggestions, especially for newer players or players trying to get the feel of it, for things you can build your deck around. I'm Hub Bramble, thanks for watching.